Already have seen Arthur Smith, who the Falcons fired last night, and Ron Rivera fired by the Commanders this morning. And one situation we're waiting for clarity on is if it'll be the end of an era in New England. Here's Bill Belichick this morning.
I'm under contract, do what I always do, which is, every day I come in, work as hard as I can to help the team in whatever way I can. So that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Wondering if you've given any serious thought to relinquishing the personnel, maybe some of the draft responsibilities, and coaching the team, which you were saying yesterday is something you still really want to do.
Yeah, I'm for whatever, collectively we decide as an organization is the best thing to help our football team.
All right, Stephen A. and Shannon, Adam Schefter standing by. He'll be with us in just a moment. Yeah. But let's talk about this situation.
Yeah.
What do you think should happen here with the Patriots and Bill Belichick?
I think it's time for Bill Belichick to go. And I don't say that as if he should be fired.
Okay.
He is the greatest coach of this generation, Shannon. What I'm saying is, and I've been saying this for weeks, and I'm going to say it again, I think in New England, it's run its course.
Yes.
I find it very difficult to believe that this man that has had complete autonomy is all of a sudden going to turn around and say, well, I'm willing to relinquish his power and all that, and everything's going to be fine. I don't believe that. I think that he had his run just like Brady had his run, and I think that because he assisted in pushing Brady out the door, I don't think New England forgets that, and I think that it's time for them to just move on. And just revere him and show the respect that he deserves while making sure you move on from him.
All right, look who's here right now, the man with all the information. That'd be Adam Schefter. Hey, I'd be remiss if I didn't say go blue. I think I know who you're rooting for tonight.
Well, you know who I'm rooting for. I can confirm that.
Blue. Absolutely. What's the latest here on Bill Belichick and the New England situation, Adam?
At some point today, the Patriots owner Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick are expected to meet. Now, here's the thing. I think most people around the league think that it's going to be a situation that likely ends in Bill's departure, that there's some sort of breakup. But the fact of the matter is right now, you don't know how that meeting is going to go. You don't know if Bill's going to say, hey, I want to give up the personnel powers, and could we work through it? Do I think that's going to happen? I would guess no.
Okay.
Right.
I would guess no. But until there's a meeting, you know what? And I've said this to people before, Shannon, when the Broncos owner, Pat Bowlen, fired Dan Reeves. I remember saying to Pat, how come you fired Dan Reeves? Dan was an institution in Denver, right?
Yes.
Drafted you.
Yes.
And Pat said, I wanted my team back. And I just believe that Robert Kraft wants his team back and wants to now go a different direction. But here's the thing. We may all think it's going to happen that way, and it's likely to happen that way. But the two men who are accomplished as they are still need to sit down, have the conversation that they do, and see what comes out of that before we get a resolution one way or another.
Yeah.
Do most people think that the two sides will break up? Yes.
If it's a situation like this, tell me the time in history a king has been willing to give up power. Because that's what he is in New England. He's the king. He buys all the grocery. He does all the shopping. He does all the cooking. So you're telling me, Coach Belichick, you can come back and be the head coach, but you can't be the general manager. You can be the general manager.
But he said today, I'm willing to give up some of those powers.
Yeah, because Shannon, what if the king realizes that's not my specialty, it didn't work?
Give up what power to do it.
I know how to coach, but I can't pick personnel.
He's a reason why. If we're going to give him the credit for a lot of the success that went on doing that winning, shouldn't we give him the lion's share of the blame for what goes on in this losing? He has not drafted well. He hasn't. He drafted two tight ends earlier, and they're gone. They're not even on the team.
Right.
So at some point in time, we have to look. We're not trying to take anything that he's accomplished away from him.
Nothing.
But what he's done over the last 3 years, any other coach, had they not had that on his resume, would have been gone after 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Let alone now.
Well, go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying that now. I just think it's best to just move on. Mr. Kraft, go find somebody else. Maybe it's too – I don't think he'll ever go back to the system that he had in place where one person has all the control.
I think both sides would like to move on.
Yes.
But, again, sometimes in a relationship, both sides may think they're moving on. They sit down, they say, you know what, there's a lot of history, a lot of things that we could do better, and they find a way. Do I think it's going to happen? No. No.
The one thing I'm not is Adam Schefter. Let's get that out the way right now. I am not Adam Schefter. But I kind of know a couple of people in England.
Okay.
And if you remember, I came on the show and I talked. This is years ago when Tom Brady was departing.
Yes.
Yep.
Because I had direct intel about. Listen, Tom Brady's being pushed out the door. If Bill Belichick had said, "I want you to stay," Tom Brady would have stayed.
Right.
Mr. Kraft would have worked it out.
Yes.
That did not happen. The reason why that's relevant, Adam, and I keep bringing that up, is because, remember, Belichick wanted him going. He wanted to move beyond him and go into the Garoppolo era. That was stalled. Tom Brady and his relationship with Kraft superseded that of Bill Belichick for a couple of years before ultimately Belichick got his way. Tom Brady ended up moving on. He goes on to Tampa. He wins the Super Bowl. In the process of winning the Super Bowl and proving he wasn't done, he wasn't over the hill, what was New England doing? And from that point forward, when they had their struggles, Mr. Kraft and the New England Patriots are looking at it and saying, okay, you won 6 Super Bowls as our head coach. You run this organization. We appreciate the greatness that you put forth, but that man right there was instrumental in all of this as well. And you misread that situation as far as we're concerned. They've tolerated. But since then, look at what's happened. After Mac Jones' first year, he's an all-pro. What do? You sit up there and you compromise his second year on the job. And you got Joe Judge and Matt Patricia as offensive coordinators for crying out loud. That stuff, that compromised him. And ever since then, he's nosedived. And you haven't been able to find a quarterback. All of those things play a role in the New England Patriots saying, you know what, we love you, but it might be time.
I have a question, Adam. Who's shown interest in Bill?
Well, first of all, nobody is allowed to. But I say that when Tom Brady became a free agent, we had conversations on this show and many others where if Tom Brady is a free agent and you have a quarterback, don't you look to see if Tom represents an upgrade over your quarterback? Most teams decided he didn't. And they stayed with their guy, and Tom signed with Tampa and won a Super Bowl. And I think if Bill Belichick is free, then I think every team has to look at its head coach and say, okay, are we in a spot where we're better off with the guy we have, or do we want to go hire Bill Belichick? And so when you ask who's interested, well, I think the teams that have openings right now absolutely will make calls and check into the Chargers, I think, will check into Belichick. I don't think it'll happen. The Falcons will check into Belichick. The Commanders will check into Belichick. The Panthers, maybe. I don't know why, we'll see.
But here's the thing. We have to look at Coach Belichick with 3 stints without Tom Brady. Look at him in Cleveland. Look at him without a situation the last 3 years in New England. So what am I calling? Is Tom Brady going to come out of retirement and play for him? Because his record without Tom Brady.
But if you put Bill with a great quarterback.
That's right.
You know that, like the way the Patriots played defense this season, I know they lost yesterday. That team was competitive and tough. They lost their top defensive players. So if you take Bill Belichick and you put him with Justin Herbert, or you put him with another quality quarterback.
But
it
ain't Tom.
He's going to win.
You can't say Atlanta and Washington, not right now.
Exactly.
No, I know that much.
Who could you guys see if this happened, if this divorce happened? Who could you see heading to New England? Any names,
That's a lot to follow
Shannon
up.
or Stephen A? Anyone that you?
No, I want to be the next coach. I want to follow the man that followed the man.
That's right.
I want to be the quarterback that followed. I don't want to be
Brian Greasy and Denver following John Elway.
And I don't want to be Cam Newton following Tom Brady.
That's right.
I want to be the guy that came after Cam, not the guy that came after Tom.
That's fair.
But here's the thing, and we go back to Tom Brady. You remember when they took that bonus? He was supposed to make X amount of dollars, and they put it in the form and said, okay, you can get all the money now. Yeah. If they'd have really wanted Tom, and Tom had this, and Don Yee probably told him, Tom, if they'd have wanted you, they would have extended you. They wouldn't have given you all this money right now to make sure you're coming off their books after this season. Tom, so once they got to that point where Tom would have stayed, Tom was like, nah, if y'all don't want me, I'd have never been in this situation to begin with because I was never here before.
Adam, if this happened, do you think it's more likely they promoted someone from within or they brought someone new?
Well, I think Gerard Mayo is on the staff.
Yes. Okay.
And he's been linked to that job, but it hasn't been a great year in New England. So I think they'll absolutely talk to him. Do I think he's a lock to get the job? I don't, but I think he would get some consideration.
He should.
As others will as well. They're going to cast a wide net. Look, Robert Kraft hasn't done a coaching search in 24 years, 25 years.
Right.
we're talking about a quarter of a century since he's done one of these things.
And he gave up a first-round draft pick to get him.
Yes, he did.
Because he was actually
the Jets.
he was the Jets head coach, and that's how much confidence that Mr. Kraft had in him.
Parcells, obviously Pete Carroll, and now Bill.
Pretty good.
So one would surmise that you know what you're doing, but that was a long time ago. So it remains to be seen. But I think right now more people will be interested in where, if any place, Bill Belichick would land departing from New England than who's coming
just
to
think
New England.
You automatically make him a candidate for any team that has an opening.
Yes.
And if that team has a quarterback, he becomes a bona fide candidate in my mind.
Yeah.
You got to have a strong have a strong owner.
Listen.
Because he comes in, he got power.
I'm just grateful you have this to deal with all day long so it can distract you from tonight because I know you're a little nervous.
Well,
no,
I'm really not.
You're not?
I'm really wound up and intense about this day. Like, honestly, my mind hasn't even gotten to tonight.
Really?
Tonight, when we get to the game tonight,
you're just going to take care of business?
Absolutely. Honestly, like, my mind has not even come to the game tonight yet. Like, no, I'm not there.
Wow.
I'm not there at all.
Yeah. You know what you are? You're
Focused.
like one task at a time. One game at a time.
Yeah, you can't multitask.
One story at a time.
Compartmentalize. I learned that from Sharpie back in the day. I learned that from him back in the day.
All right, let's leave it there.